blue cards. What a bunch of what is the logic? What is the sense? Why do we need this improvement on something which was fine the way it was before? Okay, it wasn't perfect. Yeah, there were flaws in football. Yeah, there was always the issues, the contentious decisions, red cards that shouldn't have been red cards, penalties given that weren't penalties, things weren't that were penalties that weren't given. Why do we now need another card system introduced to definitively answer a question that no one was asking? No one needs it. No one wants it. This is not five-a-side football. We don't need a blue card to tell us what to send someone off for dissent. Oh, my head, it's wrecked. So, just for context, and just to give a bit of sort of thought on this, welcome to the channel, by the way, if you haven't already like and subscribe. This has just been on my mind for a few days, and I just thought I'm actually going to get the video out now because we're coming up to the first weekend of the Premier League fixtures since the decision was made, or the announcement was made, should I say. And I think this is going to be the weekend to sort of decide if it's all going to happen or if it's not going to happen. So there's talk of the Premier League introducing a blue card system. Now, for those who don't know, blue cards are something which are used in things like five-a-side, in like goals and stuff like that. It's essentially a 10-minute sin bin. You're sent off for 10 minutes due to either dissent or cynical fouls or just any sort of foul in general. They want to introduce that to the Premier League. Why? For what context and for what reason? The example they gave was the Chiellini Bukayo Saka foul, which was clearly cynical. Saka would have been away. Chiellini fouled him in the Euro final in 2021. Would have been given a blue card for the sin. Okay, fantastic, superb. But give him a yellow or give him a red. I know saying that the yellow it doesn't do anything because he's been cautioned, but he's still got away with it. But send them off for 10 minutes isn't going to change that fact either. Just because you give him the blue card and send them off for 10 minutes doesn't mean that we're going to then go automatically score and win the match. It doesn't work that way. If it's that cynical, send them off. But then if you're not going to send them off, what's the point? There's no point in the blue card system. They're trying to fix a problem that is not there. We don't care about these variances between yellow and reds. That's always been a conversation point, but it's not something where we sit there and go, this needs correcting, this needs fixing. I've never once said there needs to be an implementation between the yellow and red system. There needs to be something there to bridge the gap. It's not something we care about. It's not something we need. Why do we need this problem fixed? It's not a problem. VAR was brought in because there was clear issues with the refereeing system. Okay, there were decisions that were given that shouldn't have been. Decisions weren't given that should have been. Fouls which were deemed more aggressive than they should have been. Fouls which weren't deemed aggressive enough. VAR was brought in to fix that. And in some instances it has. In other instances it's went horribly wrong. But there was an outcry for it at the time. Some fans were against it, some were for it. But it was something that felt necessary to progress, to get the right decisions. Okay, it hasn't been faultless, but it's there for a reason. This blue card system has never been discussed. It's never been talked about. It's never been implemented. What is the point in 10-minute sin bins? This is not a five-a-side tournament where the only rules you can give someone is a 10-minute sin bin because it's an activity, it's a hobby. This is professional full football. 10-minute sin bins is like you're giving them a timeout. And they do it in sports like hockey. I know that they do it in them. They'll get sent off for a few minutes and then be reintroduced. It doesn't make logical sense. It does not. There just does not need to be that gap bridged. Now, there's a statement saying that the main reason it's being implemented is because fans are frustrated at counter-attacks being ended by cynical fouls, which is fine. I get that there's frustration in that. Man City are the best at doing that in the world. They're so good at cynical attack-ending fouls because it's a strategy. It will get you a card, ultimately, and if you do it in the wrong place, you can possibly get a red. But there's a reason to it. We've done it. Liverpool have done it. I've seen every team do it. And there are people saying, well, a yellow's not sufficient. They get away with it, as I mentioned earlier on. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, in the moment, you're going to be annoyed if it costs you something. I completely get that. But one player getting sent off for 10 minutes is ridiculous because what you're doing is You're stifling every footballer who has a voice. The interviews they give after matches are so robotic and put together and formulaic that there's just no point in the answers. They're just boring, robotic, repetitive answers. In the match, how are they meant to express themselves? How are they meant to vocalize their frustrations? I'm not saying referees deserve to be given the abuse that they do sometimes, but they should have the right to be able to actually express how they're feeling without going 10 minutes off. How dare you speak freely in a sport which is all about getting rid of discrimination, in a sport which is all about vocalizing how you feel, speaking from the heart and showing passion. How dare you speak off 10 minutes? How dare you commit a tactical foul for the benefit of your team, which I'm sure the manager's probably said. We've seen examples throughout history of managers saying to players, you get the foul, you get him. If you get sent off, you just break up the attack, don't let him score. How dare you do what the manager wants? Don't speak. If you go down and it's a decision that you it is absolutely in the wrong, if it's a decision that the referee has 100% got wrong, don't vocalize it. You're not allowed. 10 minutes off. It's ridiculous. And I think we are going to end up with games getting cancelled. Well, we're going to end up with games scrapped because so many players are going to get sent off at once with the blue card rule that you're going to have 7, 8, 9 players off for 10 minutes. You can't play a match with that few people for 10 minutes, even if it's just for 10 minutes. It doesn't work. It does not need to be fixed. Don't fix the problem. Air quotes again. It's just not a problem. I mean, yeah, Paul Merson. I'm just looking at it on the Sky Sports from a few days ago. Paul Merson makes a good point, saying that we killed the league. You put someone in the sin bin for 10 minutes, you're killing the game. You'd get 10 players sitting behind the ball the whole time. It'd be the most boring football game ever, and it's true. It's absolutely right. No one's going to want to go out and try and express themselves for free because if there's space in behind, there's nothing they can do. There's absolutely nothing we can do. You have a shot at one end and there's a corner up the other 30 seconds later. That just goes out the window for this 10 minutes. The team with the man down have got no choice but to sit behind the ball. Because it's true. And what if then you get someone sent off and then they come back on and another player gets sent off straight afterwards? It's just ridiculous. It doesn't make an ounce of sense. It will destroy the game. And apparently, two blue cards is a sending off. A blue and a yellow is a sending off. What's the point in the sin bin then? So that first yellow can mean something. Essentially, is what you're saying. And who judges what the difference between a yellow and a blue is, and a blue and a red? If he's off for 10 minutes, surely it's a foul worthy of him being sent off. If he's being sent off anyway, even if it's just for 10 minutes, how can you say, oh, it's not quite bad enough to miss the game, but it's bad enough to get off for 10 minutes? He's off, regardless. So what difference does it make? Oh, the modern game, it stresses me out. It's so they're just trying to find everything to reduce any sort of freedom in football. Everything, all personal opinions, all freedom of speech, anything. You cannot say a thing. Football has become a monopoly of just you play 70, 80 games a season, more games, more minutes on the pitch, more sendings off, more VAR. It's become robotic and it's taking passion out of the game. What is the point? It doesn't make sense. It just does not make an ounce of sense. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video.